I think that's it. How's art changed my life or kept me having hope, because that's what I am, an artist all my life, and it's kept me focused and to be able to deal with the homelessness that I faced in my life.
You had a story about when someone first encouraged you as an artist.
Yeah, I was sitting on the street and I was really young, and I couldn't go back to where I was living, and I started drawing on the sidewalk and on some paper, and people just started saying, "Wow, that's nice," and I was able to go eat and feel safe for a while. In the middle of Toronto, I felt safe because then I wasn't going to get attacked if I went back to where I was staying. And so I stayed out longer and longer and longer. And then I found other people that were into it, and now I teach. They call it co-facilitating. And now I get to take that inspiration and bring it into other people's lives. And hopefully they'll do the same through the rest of the generations, just like what happened to me.
How do you think art changes life for the homeless?
Um, so many degrees to art therapy. Um, we're still scratching the surface on how we could bring people out and to express themselves in a good manner, whether anywhere, and it's not criticized, in the safe space. And this is where you encourage people to feel and touch again, and share a smile or cry, because artists are all known for being flakes. But there's a lot of reasons behind that person's just to want to touch and feel again. Some people shut down, and this is the last chance abstractly that humans can communicate with humans, and this is how it started way back in the day. Pictorials, how to explain themselves, and through their art experiences, whether they're talking or sharing, they're producing something that wasn't there before, which gives them a courage just to either start talking to that co-facilitator to kick in the proper resources that person needs, or you understand the road they're on, so that as a outreach worker that the co-facilitator works hand in hand with, knows how to help that particular personality.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps me because I'm a part of society, and then I find out as I'm getting older, all the things I did naturally that came to me came back, and I'm able to give on. And then, you gotta be, it's like if you drive, you get good at something. And I mean, like, that's like Kiwi and then, it's not a mold. Like, to me, that's, I don't get a lot for them on the street. But you know what I get? I get a smile. I get human interaction that's positive most of the time. But nonetheless,
Mm-hmm.
you can learn to block yourself out. So what's your next question?
Do you want to tell me about buskering on the street and what that's like?
Um, Brutal. You got to be prepared to make sure that everything's there. But when you get in a large crowd, you got to be ready to smile all the time and handle it, and take the criticism that goes with it. And pick your times that you want to go out. I'm getting older now, so I can't get out there like I used to in the sun. And so I'm very lucky and blessed to always have my buskers, because I feel when the government, in between rounds of life, that I couldn't get the assistance I needed, I depended on buskering to live and to support children that apparently the government wanted, kind of, unfortunately, the government can't be there your whole life. You have to be there in times of crisis and ready to give up what little I make to feed my kids or make sure they were safe.
What would you like people to know about buskering on the street?
Well, a
or
busker,
buskers.
sure, a busker isn't a panhandler who sits there with a sign like that,
Mhm.
looking for a fix.
Mhm.
It's a professional busker is not drunk. A professional busker has an act, has a service. Um, Sometimes being a busker is not the greatest profession, so people fall right down because you're already on the street. So you're trying to get up, and you hope that you can break that cycle, keep that concentration up, so you avoid the real cycle that's around shelters, which is hopelessness and drugs and alcohol and fighting over space that isn't yours anyway, but they think it is. So you go find your own space, and then when you're able to go back to whatever situation, mostly for me it's been a shelter or a really bad home atmosphere, I was able to say I did good today because I made a little bit of dough and I was able to, try and live another day the best way I could.
Do you think do you think art is the way out for people who are homeless, or one of the ways
One
out?
of the ways. One of the ways. There's people that are really highly intelligent. Um, for me and a lot of people, it's the first thing to consider. And then if you can move on to computers, to job training in an actual school, art starts you thinking again,
Mhm.
or at least gets you communicating and keeps you communicating.
Mhm. So do share some of your art with us, please.
You're more than welcome to pan the room, and
Okay.
truly, I've got to say it's one of my inspirational pieces
Uh-huh.
because I love wolves, and I'm a lone wolf, and I love this one guy because it's like right now when you're talking to me, and this guy rocks. So to me, I was trying to study the 3D printer, and I can't really afford it, so I can afford dollars store clay. And this could totally make a little kid's happy day, I could go over there to, where the children are poor in Regent Park and make them balloons. And every once in a while I'll get a little kid that I think's pretty special, and I happen to have a few on hand. It could be a little helper. I make them happy, inspire them. And I always tell them to stay in school, because, that's about it. Life's simple, just keep it simple for me. But then, I'm living 10 years longer than I'm supposed to, and that was through the shelter system. But a lot of resources throughout. I might stay at one shelter, but I use 15 shelters all in all, and all the resources and their people, their staff, their services throughout the year to keep me alive. And yeah, the government, I mean, they're paying for me. They pay for my medicine, operations. It's up to the individual themselves to stay strong, and if they don't, then I'm really sorry that that's what they call sliding between the cracks, and you can only just help and feed them, and that's why it gets down to shelter.
How do you stay strong? How do you
Um,
stay strong?
Through the groups I join and through facing it without substance and not putting band-aids on it.
Hmm.
3, 2, 1.